Hi, I'm Greg Smith, President of Shell Pipeline and Chairman of the Board of the Common Ground Alliance. On behalf of my fellow directors, I want to thank each of you for your role in supporting the 811 message of safety over the past decade. As we launch the next decade of damage prevention, your continued support is critical to the ongoing success of the Common Ground Alliance. Damage prevention is a shared responsibility, and we look forward to working together to keep our community safe and connected.
Hey, I'm Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennsville Ford. Congratulations on celebrating 10 years of safety with 811. I'm proud to have been a part of this life-saving message and to have taken it to victory lane several times. You can count on me to continue to spread the message. Everybody wins when you call 811 before you dig.
When Bob brought the idea to the Research and Development Committee, 12, 13 years ago, we all kind of chuckled, like, wouldn't that be nice? And when we started doing the research on what it would take and what we really needed to do to get it started, it seemed like it would be impossible to make happen.
One of the things we heard from stakeholders was, I can never remember that number, or I can't find it, and therefore I'm not making the call. And you'd hear some of that from excavators as well.
We were faced with a lot of third-party damage, the number of incidents that we had were high. And then 811 happened. The CGA happened.
811 has allowed us as an industry to be able to market and educate the public on our services in damage prevention and what it means to protect yourself, protect infrastructure using 3-digit dialing that's universal to all of our call centers.
It has greatly impacted our stakeholder group. Number one, it made it much easier to contact the one call center regardless of where you are, whether you're in a state or another one. You didn't have to have the 800 number for a particular one call center. You can call it from wherever you are. It's been great for streamlining the whole process and making it more uniform, not only in the phone number, but now most of the one call centers are called 811.
You know, it's really a remarkable example, you know, of how you can have stakeholders who really have equity, you know, drive the bus.
We use 811 in a lot of our literature and promotional and training so that we can convey the message of partnership. We can convey the importance of safe digging, and 811 has just been powerful.
811 was a tailor-made instrument, a tailor-made mechanism for the contractor. It just absolutely, you find a lot of pride. You find out in the field the guys more or less revere 811. It's their number.
It is so cool, and how it's become sort of our Dallas Cowboys star, our Chicago Cubs C, our Montreal Canadiens CH. It's just become the excavation industry, our industry. It's become our team logo.
We never could have imagined the places the 811 logo would be placed. We couldn't have dreamt it. You know, to turn on your TV and see it on the DIY channel, I swell with pride.
I remember the year before we launched it, sitting with Gwinnett Broussard from Shell in Orlando at our conference, and she looked at me and said, "You make that number work, I'll get it on our NASCAR." And I said, "It's a deal." And a year later, we were at Miami Homestead with the CGA Board of Directors and Shell's leadership, and it was one of those big aha moments, like, we can do this. You know, together we can achieve so much more. And then to think we've been on over 50 NASCARs.
Literally millions of people that watch NASCAR races, and to have 811 be a portion of that or be a part of it is, that's just huge.
Victor Espinosa and the 811 horses, and that was pretty amazing to have anything associated with that. And I look at it that in the past 4 years, we won 5 of the 6 big races.
You know, I thought it was creative, I thought it was interesting, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that something that, again, started out as just an idea, probably, over lunch, ended up being a huge campaign with a Triple Crown winner, where the 811 message appeared nationally.
Seeing the incredible results, the media impressions that were obtained through horse racing just really blew my mind. There were millions upon millions of media impressions from that campaign.
If you would have told me that we were going to be behind Major League Baseball home plate in the same year as the Triple Crown race and on a NASCAR deck lid, as well as being painted on a tank farm along a major interstate highway, all in the same year, I would have said, no way, it wouldn't be possible.
The campaign that did surprise me the most was the corn maze that they did in Queen Creek, Arizona.
I remember the first time that John Deere proposed the stock exchange. And goodness, we closed the stock exchange, and there in the New York Stock Exchange behind us is this 811 logo, and who would have ever dreamt that we'd be doing that? And then to follow up with Verizon and Shell and PG&E a couple of years ago. So all very cool to be able to do that.
I love the rodeo. The JJ's been involved with the rodeo, and we have a lot of rodeo emphasis in Nevada. I never would have thought of it, but it's really fun. There are kids there. It becomes more interesting for them, and they can see the connection.
It's just phenomenal. I mean, with NASCAR and racehorses and other kinds of events, I think it's been very effective at promoting 811, which really promotes safety.
What I call 811 is like the best bootstrap campaign in America.
Ultimately, the one thing we always say is we'll hopefully save a life. We don't know whose life it is we save, but we that's kind of what we're doing.
We've already seen over the last 10 years a ton of creative ideas of how to use the logo and where to place it and exposure and all that. That's been fabulous. I think you'll continue to see that, but again, I think as an industry, you'll see us moving more toward trying to change people's behavior, the people who know to call and are choosing not to.
I think with CGA, we can continue to reach our stakeholder groups in conversations and not having directives necessarily from this group. I think it's worked well as a collaborative unit and allowing everybody to voice concerns and create committees and working groups that allow us to invoke change that fit all of our stakeholder groups universally.
It's just been an exciting way to make a difference in the community, to make the world a safer place, to appreciate all of our excavators and contractors.
Well, I see it growing. I see it becoming, technology is catching up. I think we will be using, everyone has smartphones now. I think a lot of what we're doing with the calling it's already migrating over to smartphones and technology. I think that there'll be more communication between the locators, the owners, the one-call centers.
I think awareness will only build for 811. I think the more that we have promotions that are going on cross-industry, across the country to build awareness of the number, I think awareness will only go up. I think we'll continue to see the online presence of 811 and being able to drive people to where people are communicating today on their phones, on their computers, on their tablets. And
it's been very enlightening and wonderful for me to see different people's perspective. And with this 811 at the center, we come together at the table to learn from each other. What are your challenges? What do we need to do to communicate better? How can we improve? How can we make your work easier and better? How can we make sure that everyone goes home safe to their families at the end of the day?
811 is really the barrier for damage. In communities and with excavators and operators. So, I mean, it's the most essential glue that holds everything together.
I just think what we're doing is working in terms of communicating it, and that's, to me, right back to when I was a kid and then a teacher and then working for Bell and just growing and evolving as a person. Communication was always the biggest thing. If you communicate with each other, you start to understand the other person and what their issues are, and then you work together to resolve them. So I think as long as we keep seeing these meetings with 20, 30, 40, 50 people, or at the annual meeting, hundreds of people talking to each other, getting to understand each other, and working towards resolving each other's problems, I think this is just going to get better.